What's going on, fellas and ladies? We got the Shambler versus Art of Turtle in this TVZ on a very new map by Shambler himself. This is Martyr's Ground, a 1v1 jungle map, 2 spawn, so XY symmetry. We have in the top left spawn, we have the Shambler. It is Absolute Jimmy. Very funny. The Shambler is our white Terran player, and Art of Turtle is in the bottom right as our Japanese Violet Zerg player. I know that he likes that color. Weeb. We've got an interesting matchup here because I was reminiscing a little bit, guys. I will admit I sometimes am prone to thinking back to not the good old days, because I think we're in good new days. I'm very bullish on the future of Cosmonarchy, but I was thinking back to how people started off playing Cosmonarchy, and you know, Art of Turtle, stalwart of the North American Pro League and other, you know, like just generally the pro scene in the foreign Brood War space, has been playing Cosmonarchy for some time. But when he started, one of his first like real, not really rivalries in a personal sense, but in a sense of them constantly clashing, was the Shambler. Went up against him in tournament play and practice. There's a lot of back and forth between the two of them. I think one of their like most, I would say, memorable matches for me wasn't even a tournament game. It was actually a practice game that I saw them stream. And I don't even know if I got cast, but it was on an old map of mine called Highwater, a 4-spawn jungle map. And so that's just, you know, a little bit of an anecdote to say it's cool to see these two keep duking it out, even in 2025, you know, not exactly a whole year later than when AOT started, but maybe like at least 6 months after he started, and they're still going strong on a jungle map, you know, in Cosmonarchy, same matchup, TVZ. Very cool stuff. So, Shambler will be going for a double stockade bio-focused play. Hasn't harvested any Vespene just yet. Does favor these more aggressive styles versus Zerg most of the time I see him. You know, we think about his games versus Hamster and Krankendow. That's definitely something that he's done. Meanwhile, AOT is going to go ahead and sort of creep towards his natural ramp with his first couple of Cesians, and he will probably turn both of them into Larvosks. He does have a pool finishing up now, so we'll see what he wants to do. And I love that he's going Ovaleth. AOT is a player that he brings not just like mechanical skill that's pretty, you know, almost like gauche to comment on in Starcraft 1 spaces, but in Cosmonarchy, we haven't necessarily had a big amount of people doing that, or at least, you know, now we're a little bit more familiar with it. But it looks like Shambler attacked his own Maverick, classic move. But, you know, we're more familiar with people doing it now, but it's been a little bit more of a commonplace thing in the Brood War space, right? Brood War is a much more developed game than Cosmonarchy in terms of the multiplayer meta, right? And so AOT brings that kind of understanding of like, here's what's successful in StarCraft 1, and maybe the same kind of way that we arrive at that kind of conclusion can find us success in Cosmo. He also has some nifty strategies in his belt, and he does know when to turn on the aggression, or at least when to try it. You know, there's that recent replay on the channel between him and Top Ramen, where they gamed, and you know, Ramen was trying to piece him up with all these drops, and then AOT just said, I bet you don't have enough military, and just rolled in with the stopped pushing the make worker button and started pushing the you know, just devastation button, make military button, and that was it. So those kinds of matches, AOT is kind of his specialty. I'm not sure if he's blocked his hatch. I guess not really, right? It's like just barely not blocked that with that Kagrant. So he's going to go ahead and set up some circuits. This map, by the way, I can already tell you, I don't know if it's been changed since then, but the natural is way too far from the ramp. I'm just going to say that, especially if you're a Zerg player. You know, you don't want to defend air against that while also trying to cover air raids in other places. So the stem is forced out. Now AOT has to fall back to his circuits. He's bought enough time for the circuits to really help out. The Zethar are even going to get in and start munching on those poor Mavericks. The Marine equivalent of Cosmonarchy is a pretty big Chad. He gets stim pack by default. His range is set to 5 by default, you know. Looking pretty good there, so definitely going to get some good value, but eventually those stims add up, right? It's 5 HP every hit. Yeah, sure, you have more HP than default Marine in StarCraft 1, but that's still going to hurt out over time, and the Khaz'trith is finished, so AOT is definitely going to be turtling up a little bit. Going for the extra quaz and going for his natural afterwards, it looks like. I thought maybe this is just going to be like a reserve circuit, but actually going for that more defensive cell makes a lot of sense here. So these Mavericks are, sure, they're going to trade pretty efficiently versus the Quaz in some ways. At the end of the day, it's 50 minerals for 2 Quaz. It's 50 minerals for 1 Maverick. And obviously Larva comes out a little bit more frequently, right? Like Mavericks train every 11 seconds, Larva comes out every 14. But, you know, still, like, you don't want to be trying to do that kind of math here. A lot of spread out Mavericks just to watch for any cheeky moves, and it looks like AOT is going to go ahead and dive in with 3 pairs of Zeths being made behind this. He does seem to be wanting to try to push the trigger here, or pull the trigger. I guess you can push it too. You're pushing it away from you. That's a pull. So the Mavericks are going to stem out. This might be a little bit of a risky move, but you can see the stem Maverick DPS is really high. And I don't know if AOT has been treated to this kind of bio play before. So, you know, in some ways it's almost like, what the hell? You can really just hit the stem key and attack move and do that much damage? And we've got more where that came from. So, yeah, at this point, AOT needs to reconsider his aggressive move until he can consolidate a couple more forces. He's forced a couple of stims. It is going to make those Mavericks a bit more approachable. But we got Quad Stockade pumping nothing but Mavericks just to hold on with an Ant Seal in production as well. More Quads where that came from. More Zeths where that came from. Balling up a Zerg force here to see if maybe he can get the jump on him. With that Ant Seal, you can't really go for detection. You can't really go for burrow. The Zeths are going to descend. Really no other tech. As soon as the stem comes out, you have to fall back. The stem power is just going to be too great. And AOT quickly developing an understanding of that. I don't know if he saw the pre-stem there, but he needs to pull back there. You can kind of queue it up so that you have perfect uptime. But again, this is going to hurt your Mavericks quite a bit. Another one that was entirely unforced there, just in case. Just sharking back and forth, just in case. Worker transfer there for AOT, but instead he resaturates his main. Yeah, probably. I mean, it's a very long distance, so that's another issue with the distance between the main and the natural. But I suppose that's why you playtest the maps, so you can figure that out. It's a cute choke point here as well. Like, architecturally, there's some interesting decisions that have been made by this map that I'm already sort of, like, slowly taking in. Like, the middle being on the high ground, but it being a very wide plateau is pretty cool. That kind of stuff is neat. But, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, might want to be something that you look at for that natural distance. Zethar drop gonna come on in here from the AOT Ovaleth. He actually interrupts it. He needs to unload a few more. There you go. And I don't know if that's within range of Shambler's vision, but he hasn't jumped on it. Love to go after the star pad here. Definitely a good option. A couple of the Mavericks are going to go ahead and try to stem. Forces the lift off. Unfortunately, it looks like one Maverick does end up surviving from that initial round, so these Zethar are not long for this world. They can't even burrow because of the Ant Seal's detection. If the Ovaleth was still hanging out, that would have been a cute move to kind of steal it back, but they will be executed. Starpad is going to go ahead and land. He kind of caused a little bit of chaos. He got a scout in, sees the heavy committal, 5 stockades. Can surmise there's an expansion based on the fact that, you know, he guess he scouted it with the attack, so he would know that already. All right, well, the Eskagant is doing well right now. Definitely a good move for AOT to make some magic happen with the extra Vespene. Eco-wise, he's definitely behind because he doesn't have nearly as many mineral workers. Shambler has been very consistent with his worker production cycles. It looks like he could probably have a little bit more than he has, but overall, I would say no real complaints. He's adding Watchdogs. He's adding a Ministry for his third base. It's kind of like Paradise-esque with the third base positioning. And now another drop is going to come in. Did Shambler notice it? He's going to drop a Watchdog, but he doesn't have any other units coming in, so this is definitely going to be a little bit more painful than it needs to be. The Ovaleth is going to fall. That last shot fade away from the Watchdog. Quasis will finish off the Watchdog there, and then it'll just be, you know, what more damage AOT can do with his Zeths. He's going to go ahead and try to go after some of the gas miners. Good disruption. He's going to kill 3 out of 4, it looks like. And force a little bit of a drill as well. So he'll resaturate the gases maybe a little bit more than he needs to. And that's fine. A bunch of Leikas have been made meanwhile, by the way. AOT itemizing his composition specifically to deal with the Mavericks, right? So definitely a good move. There's more where that came from as well. Not so many workers being made. The Leikas are running into death, though. First one dies, second one burrows and doesn't get too much made, but now the pain is starting to come out there, and that will definitely change the calculus of the match. He's even got one Leikas out over here. It doesn't really accomplish too much, but it was a cute move. If he had, you know, 3 of them over there, he could have choked out that ramp as well. Big moves from Shambler to kind of try his best to circumvent that, but look at the spines come out to just shred the bio. He still has detection from the Ant Seal, so he will end up being okay. If there was a follow-up with more units, like Quaz, Zeth, anything like that, those Leikas would have had even more value gained. But the aggression is not necessarily working its wonders here right now for AOT. One Leikas with 3 HP left to it. He's got some Zoryus coming out as well. So Zerg units do regenerate twice as fast while burrowed. That's a feature that the Leikas might end up needing to use. It'll almost certainly be targeted here by Shambler, but instead he ends up just falling away and doing his best. He stims his way out. The Shaman is sacrificed, it looks like. Third base has landed, but he might need to actually reconsider that possibility. No third base yet for AOT. His 4th is being guarded by a Maverick there. That's at 3 o'clock. A lot of Zoryus here, but they're kind of engaging away from where the Lakers are. I know Gorgor cores were made, but they're not yet descending upon any one spot for Shambler. Got 3 more coming, actually, so a good option for AOT to maybe pivot into. His attack right now is a little bit anemic. Is definitely going to get forced down here, and maybe that's part of his plan, is to say, like, okay, you're going to kill this attack, and then I'm going to try to surge forward and hit you with Gorgs when you least expect it. He does have 3 at his natural, is going to go ahead and take his 3rd base. There's a big drop transition here coming out. There's going to be so many Mavericks loaded in. It's only Mavericks, so that's a pretty good attack force for sure, but that does deplete the standing army a little bit. And maybe the follow-up attack for AOT can get some, come to fruition. Gonna go ahead and have to burrow those Lakers. The Huracan's getting right on top of the problem immediately, but still not going to be quite enough to deal with that. The Gorgs get blown up, so it looks like maybe the drops will be able to find some value after all. Here come 3 more Gorgs. Gonna have to get stood on top of by those. Yeah, he's got to get right on top of the Cyprians. The Gorg's not really able to punch through all the healing and the shielding, so it still is a little bit awkward. And now the lake is getting body blocked by Masons. When was the last time you saw the Kizilisks get foiled by the workers they usually kill? Very funny, but unfortunate for AOT. He doesn't have that much left in terms of military. That was kind of his whole attack, and he's doing it around a Droleth while making his ski back, adding more hatch. It's going to happen as the Maverick drop hits, and it's going to be a little bit too much for AOT to deal with right now. He's going to lose a lot of economic tempo as he pulls back, hoping that the circuits can help him out here. A little bit of a labored unload and reload as he ends up going directly for the main base. We got Gorg started, the ski back started, but this is hitting at the perfect timing. It looks to me like maybe this will be the end for AOT. He's trying to hold on. The Gorgs have come back to munch up the guys in the natural, but the Larvosks are being full killed, and the Zorkish Shroud is the next target. The ski-back might be not long for this world either. This is basically a doom drop. I mean, the Mavericks can stand and fight the Gorgs here. More of them hatching to get on top. Might be able to turn the tide. Stim's going to run out pretty soon, but he's queued up another one, and yeah, just camping the eggs at this point. There's still so many of them. It is rough. He's going to go after that Larvosk. Absolutely brutal target. And it's not like Shambler has nothing behind this. Sure, he hasn't been macroing back at home. He's got loads of money, but he's definitely done critical damage here. Not going to quite be able to finish off that last Gorg, but he shut down mining in this base, killed the Zorkas, killed 2 Larvosks, and behind it, he's got a Ministry coming for his 5th, I guess I was going to say his 4th base, but he's got his 5th as well. He's making 2 of them at a time. Ray pointing out a ridiculous amount of stockades. He's going to win this in Tier 1. AOT is definitely back against the wall. He's not done yet. He says that he's says via not saying GG that he is going to keep it going, but he disrupts the construction of 1 ministry. There's another one behind it. Plenty of Mavericks where that came from. Random Droleth scout. We'll call it a scout. Ends up getting killed. He has rebuilt several rounds of Droleths, and maybe the saving grace here is that Shambler isn't quite moving out immediately, but I don't know how he's going to mount a defense here. Recaps the Skigant. No extra Larvosk. 1,000 minerals in the bank. Definitely needs to start spending some of that on production. Going to start Hydras. I don't think the Bactals finish in time. I don't think they're going to be in enough quantity, but I could be wrong. I mean, Bactal with the Khaz'trith, resetting the forward gate there. It looks like this will probably be like circuits and stuff as well. Just to buy some time. One Zethar in the bottom left getting sniped by a couple of exploratory Mavericks. Shambler probably wondering, wait, my guy's not GGing? What the heck? They're in voice as well, I guess, so there's probably not going to be a textual GG here, but he said that GGs were set in voice, so he's like, hey, why aren't you doing that? You know, Shambler's the guy, he does like to talk to you while he 1v1s you, by the way. That is the thing that Shambler likes to do. Khaz'trith making behind the circuits. No Bactalisks coming out yet? Okay, never mind. There's 6 of them. 3 of them are going to hatch sooner. Has to concede the 3rd base. He sends those workers to mine in the natural. Probably should send some of them to mine in the main, but very, very dire straits here as AOT, he looks to be on the precipice of getting run over. I mean, if he forces a stalemate for now, maybe Shambler will just... he's taken a 4th base. He's got his 5th ministry somewhere. I think like he saw the look of the situation and he's like, okay, well, I might not be able to just clean house immediately, but I can certainly just take more bases, play this out a little bit more patiently, and like the obvious conclusion will happen. But AOT, he's sporadically active, so maybe he doesn't know exactly what that is. Maybe he still thinks there might be a shot he wants to see. Great Maverick containment at the top of that ramp. Going to prevent those Zeths from finding too much value. They'll clear this Maverick finally, it looks like. He's like looking around like, wait, can I even get out anywhere else? No. The answer is no. And look at that. There's Mavericks where that came from. Roaming the map with a menagerie of units. Oh my god. No stim pack, no victory. The Zethra Corps is clean house. I think some of those Mavericks actually went back. I'm not really sure. Why not have a 6th base? Of course, it's going to be a while before they're actually saturated, but, you know. I think Shambler actually wants to win this with pure bio. At least there's no lake is there, so it's not like the end of the world, I guess, but still. Yeah, there's the Atlas coming in. Settling in for a bit of a longer game, I suppose. He's got the bio forces at both ramps. Still, you could flank out the south, maybe? Or can you? Yeah, you can. You can go the long way. That's pretty much the only hope there. I'm guessing this is AOT's first game on the map, so it is brand new after all. Gonna shuffle forward with his Bactylisks. He's got the Gorg to give him high ground vision. Might be able to bust through this less defended containment position. Azir, of course, trying to block the shots for the Hydras and the Bacts. The rest of the force is going to come in and really overwhelm the Bactylisks where they are. They didn't get a clean kill on the force on the top, so they couldn't go further up. And now they're trying to retreat back to where the hatches are at the 3rd base, but he has hardly anything in the tank at this point. And the Bio Swarm is more in number than the Zerg Swarm, that's for sure. How unfortunate for Art of Turtle, but GG has to be called. Oh, look, he actually says GG in the text. I was lied to by Shambler. I mean, maybe it's not a lie. He probably also said GG, but then he also typed it too. So, you know, just for the replay. Well, Art of Turtle is going to take the L on that one. An unfamiliar map, unfamiliar territory. Shambler home field advantage, clearly trying to make it happen. Once he fixes the fact that Zerg can't defend their natural, that would be great. And we'll see a little bit more from that map, I'm sure, going forward. But thanks for watching this cast. We'll be back tomorrow for more. GG.